What's a photo portrait of yours you can't forget?
I would have to say that it was a series of images I took in the springtime of 2010 when I moved to Fort Drum, New York to photograph a military unit that had just returned from Afghanistan. After I got there, this particular platoon started experiencing a lot of violence and a spree of suicides. And it wasn't a story where I could dip in and dip out or fly up there. I had to be there around the clock because these things would happen. And the last person that the military wants to notify when things are going poorly is a journalist with a camera, right? So I basically spent day and night in the barracks, kind of hanging around. And that's a huge part of the job, is just waiting and being patient. And unfortunately, when I was up there, my hunch was correct. The suicides kept happening and then they accelerated. And so every week to 2 weeks, I was hearing about another soldier that had killed themselves. And I started spending a lot of time with these families who had lost their sons to suicide. And it was, everything from driving to Michigan to show up on a family's doorstep asking if I could photograph their son's funeral, which, I'm so thankful that they said yes. They let me into their home. They welcomed me. They embraced me. They allowed me to document the hardest and most intimate moments of their life, right? To photographing another soldier who called me when I was in New York City telling me that he was thinking about taking his own life. I drove up to Fort Drum. I spent the next 12 hours with him, from 9 o'clock at night to 6 in the morning, trying to convince him to check into a mental health hospital, which he did. I also documented that whole experience. So, there was a huge part of me that felt a responsibility for the trust that was being entrusted to me by these families and by these soldiers. Not just to take the pictures, right? That's a huge part of the job, but it's not the only part of the job. To me, the main responsibility we have is to be humans with, humanity and with compassion, to approach the people that are sometimes experiencing incredibly vulnerable moments, to approach them with a delicacy and also an openness that they can feel like we can be trusted. And I was lucky enough to have that happen. And you don't walk away from a story like that ever. You don't walk away unchanged. It changed me, forever. I would say, for the most part, I would like to think those changes were positive, but it also showed me a part of the human, I think the dark side of the soul that you kind of can't unsee after, because I was witnessing these people's trauma and some of their darkest moments. And so, I'm forever changed after that story. And at the same time, I have relationships from that story that have lasted longer than a decade.